Imagine the possibilities if your school was filled with students who were responsible, who showed initiative, who were creative, who knew how to set goals and meet them, who got along with people of various backgrounds and culture, and who could resolve conflicts and solve them.
Hello, welcome to another episode of A Closer Look. I'm Superintendent Gerald Hill, and I'm here with Alesia Flye, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction. We are joined by our principal from Sheiko Elementary, Sonja James, and teacher from Sheiko Elementary, Leah Mattise. Today, we're going to talk about a unique program that was implemented just this September called The Leader in Me.
The Leader in Me is a whole school transformational model based on the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. The Leader in Me equips students with the self-confidence and lifelong skills they need to thrive in a 21st century global economy. Sonja, can you share with us how this program was initiated at Sheiko Elementary?
Sure. Just as you just captured, Alesia, in terms of those 21st century skills that students are in need of and lifelong skills, as we reconfigured last year in trying to find an identity in terms of building a culture and climate at Sheiko Elementary. Who are we? What are we about? And how will we instill these values in our students? So we embarked on this journey as we started out our first professional development. And myself, along with Leah Mattise, the teacher that's right here, really initiated and started off with the staff on this. So it was finding who we are and identifying ourselves as a building here in the West Bloomfield School District.
Leah, you were instrumental in writing the grant that allowed Sheiko to bring this program into your school. Tell us what your inspiration was to consider the school-wide initiative, The Leader in Me.
Well, Dr. Hill, after our first staff meeting with Sonja in August, when we all came together, she had handed out the Leader in Me book by Stephen Covey, and we came together as a staff and did a book study through the Leader in Me. And I had asked Sonja, I'm like, is this your intention for us to become a Leader in Me school? And so we had met, and I had friends in surrounding districts that were Leader in Me schools, and we went to go visit those schools. And after visiting those schools, we were like, yes, this is what our intent is, to become a Leader in Me school, with our vision statement as building leaders and learners one student at a time. So we ended up, we met with a rep from the Covey group, and when they told us what the cost was, we were a little taken aback, and we thought long and hard, how can we make this possible for every student at Sheiko to become a leader, and for our staff, because it is an inside-out process. So then I did some research and found out that there was a grant from the I Am a Leader Grant Foundation, and so last December, a year ago, I was working on writing that grant, which entailed, compiling the stats from all 3 elementaries, because they wanted academic, behavioral, and also, our student population to be a part of that grant, and what our purpose was and our vision. So that's how we came to be, and I felt it was really important because we needed to have one common language, one common thread for our staff, and for our staff to work together with that common language. So that was our inspiration.
And Sonja, your objective was to engage. This is a new school, you're getting a new culture going, and so your commitment was to engage all staff and get a commitment from them toward this program. Tell us about how that process worked.
Well, as Leah said, we started out that summer before in terms of just that team building, getting to know our staff as a staff member, and what do we unify ourselves around? What is it we believe in? We know that all students can learn, and how do they learn? What else do we want to instill in our students? And one of the things that both Robin Coker and I looked at last year was student leadership. and that was our thing moving forward. And we took it a step further in terms of how do we continue this so that each student that walks through Sheiko's doors understand and recognize that there is leadership ability within themselves. But before working with our students, we work with our staff in terms of how do we view leadership? What are the habits that we need to learn as the adult learners in the building in order to instill this in our students? So it was that the book study, having those conversations with staff, going out to other buildings, seeing this in action, because to conceptualize it from the book is one thing, but to see it in action is a totally different experience. So spending that time together, learning and growing, and what are our core beliefs as a staff that we, again, want to instill in our students. So that's where we started. That's where we begin our journey in terms of, as the adults, what is it that's at our core, and how do we get this instilled in our students as well?
Sonja, can you also talk with us a little bit about the implementation training process?
Okay.
Because I understand that there was a great deal of training that your staff participated in.
Well, immediately following the end of the school year, we went through, was it 3 days of training, and we had 90% of our staff. And when I say our staff, it's not just our teaching staff, it was our paraprofessionals, and we try to get as many adults in the building that will come in contact with our students, because as we look at leadership, as we look at adults who are responsible for teaching and learning in the classroom, it's beyond that of the classroom teacher. It's our paraprofessionals, it's our custodians, it's our cafeteria staff who is in the building, because everyone has something to lend to students with regards to teaching and learning, as well as that leadership. As I've said before, and so often, I may have the title of principal in the building, I'm not the only leader in the building. So with that, we began, again, that process. And through that process of that 3-day training, it was more about us as people. Who are we in terms of looking at the 7 habits? How do we attribute this to our personal lives? How do we attribute this to our professional lives? And how do we help our students understand and learn the habits as well? So it's been a whole paradigm shift and a learning process for our staffs, because it's not only about leading in school and those habits, it's a life-changing and transformation in terms of, as people, genuinely good people, how do we transform ourselves and to be the best for our students, and our students to be the best for themselves as well. Going along with our district and vision and mission statement in terms of having students be the best in and for the world, and that it starts with us. And how do we, as the adults, live the 7 habits and learn them ourselves?
Leah, I understand one of the components of the training is Lighthouse team training. Can you tell us a little bit about Lighthouse team training?
It is, Dr. Hill. The Lighthouse team training was approximately about 6 weeks after we did the 3-day training. And so it was my colleagues that were just volunteering that wanted to serve, that are part of that Lighthouse team. So part of that was, creating an environment. How are we going to continue, now that we have that 7 habits training, how are we going to continue basically revitalizing and providing nourishment to continue modeling those habits for staff, because you have to continue to feed that for staff just so those habits continue. And also with that was just bringing staff together collegially, and and so we have approximately 13 members, and we meet every other week and continue, mapping out where we want to go as a Leader in Me school. And we came together with 3 important things, like what are the 3 goals that we wanted to attain this year, because it's important that you have to go slow to go fast, because we want to make sure that we're accomplishing those goals. And so what we did was, it was important to make sure that we implemented the 7 habits within the classroom, and how are we going to lay that out. So that was our first step. And so everyone made the commitment that we were going to teach the school-wide, the 7 habits, and to front load the students with what the habits were. and how are we living that and modeling that. The next thing was creating a vision for each classroom. We have a vision for our building. Our vision for the building is building leaders and learners one student at a time. So now how are we going to create that for each classroom? And then our next one was just as well as now that we're getting ready to create our Leadership Day, which will be in April. So that's going to be our main focus when we return back from the holiday break, as to what is that going to look like, who do we want to involve, and how are we going to share that out with our community. So,
thank you, Leah. We also spoke with art teacher Sean Whiteman, one of the Lighthouse team members.
We wanted to make sure when the kids came back in the fall that they saw that the school was going through a process of change. Just like on any journey, we all kind of go through a process of change, so that they would realize that this is something that we're taking very serious. And we strongly believe that our school right now is going through a lot of changes in our district. And we feel that here at our school, if we begin the process here, that it'll actually start to kind of develop into a larger thing over the course of the next few years, where our best years are ahead of us now, and they're not in the past. We're not living in the past. We're kind of moving forward to the future. Well, we painted the walls. We actually went in and put a lot of murals up. We redid our multi-purpose room. We put up new sound panels. We've got a lot of graphics that are around the school, the leadership quotes. So we're just starting the process right now, and we look forward to having the opportunity of making changes as we go and kind of making it our own.
When we come back, we're going to see how the 7 habits are impacting our students.
It has affected my life at home. Like the second habit, begin with the end in mind. I have been making plans at home, like what I'll do throughout the day. And I think win-win, even just watching TV, making sure like me and my brother, we both have a chance to do it.
Yeah, actually it's made a difference between a lot of people. You know, from last year, I've seen a couple of people misbehave sometimes, but now they got it under control. They're fixing it. Instead of putting it in their circle of uncontrol, they're putting it in their circle of control.
Welcome back to A Closer Look. We had the opportunity to visit Blaine McDowell's 3rd grade classroom at Sheiko Elementary School. Sonja, can you tell us a little bit about how you help students set and achieve goals in the most effective way?
That's a great question, Alesia, in terms of helping students set goals. At the start of the school year, it's important for students to have an idea as to where they want to be. One of the things that we have done in not every classroom, but many of the classrooms through Leader in Me is set the data binders. And students, teachers are talking to students about their F&P scores, their DIBEL scores, or their math goals for that card marking. And right now in Mrs. McDowell's class, I know that students have set specific math goals based on their math facts. They have reading goals based on their F&P scores that we started here at a level C, and we want to be to a level Z by the end of the school year. I'm exaggerating some of those levels. However, having those discussions with students about curriculum, about their scores, knowing where they should be at the end of the school year. So looking at one of the 7 habits, begin with the end in mind. Our end goal is for you to reach this by the end of the year. Along the way, you're going to have marks and stopping points. So right now, the students have mapped out their beginning F&P scores. When they take the F&P again, they'll map out their mid-year F&P score so they can see their growth. But one of the things, aside from F&P scores, I noticed that some teachers have their spelling goals. You know, I want to master this many spelling words or have this percentage on my spelling test this time around. So in different classrooms, it looks a little differently, but goal setting in terms of beginning with the end in mind, here's where we want to end and how do we get there, and having those discussions along the way. And one of the things that we did this year for parent-teacher conferences, many of the teachers had student-led conferences, where students came in with their parents and they sat at the front of the table and they talked to their parents about what their current scores are. They talked to their parents about their reading goals, and they were able to communicate that in a way that parents understood. So now kids have a clear understanding of what the expectations are and steps along the way to get there.
Sonja, how do you track and how do teachers track or you track grade level goals?
Well, we start out, we have our continuous school improvement goals. And one of the things that we're drilling down with our staff this year is looking at, here's our building-wide goal. As a grade level, what's our grade level goal? Look at math. Let's just take math for instance. Here's our math goal. Fourth grade, what will fourth grade need to focus on in order to help us reach our building-wide goal? And then drilling that down to the classroom level. Understanding the kids that are in front of you, our students understanding, here's our building goal. As a class, here's what we need to do individually to reach our class goal, which will help us reach our grade level goal, which will eventually help us reach our building goal. So it's a stair step in terms of, here's the overarching goal, and we drill it down to grade level, class, and then individual students. And teachers are having those conversations with students. And that is during their set time, as they're working with students on strategies. They're also conferencing with students about their goals, about their scores, so students have a clear understanding as to what that mark is. And now we're giving them the strategies to help meet that mark. Curriculum, school should not be hidden. And we want to make it as transparent and as attainable for our students as possible. Some may need a little more extra help getting there, but we want to make sure that all students reach those goals.
So let's hear how students are utilizing the 7 habits just 4 months into the program at Sheiko Elementary.
In my own life, it's kind of made a difference because now I get all these cool leadership jobs because I can be, I know my 7 habits very well. In fact, I am the, I was actually showed some people about the key to the 7 habits. The only way to earn it is to be proactive. You have to be proactive in your own life, be in charge of yourself, and without that certain key of be proactive, you can't activate the 7 habits. Think of this. You have a certain key that you need to get. It's at the top of this ancient hill. And at the bottom of the ancient hill, there is this door that needs that same be proactive key. You need to be proactive to climb the steps, because each one is a bigger amount of being proactive. And once you be a guardian of proactive, then you get that key. You get to open up the 7 habits in your own temple.
Like for example, first, when I got my new baby cousin, I had to seek first to understand, to learn about him more.
Our students are highly engaged in taking leadership roles very seriously.
So let's look at an example of how one of our students in a leadership role handles conflict.
If I have a problem with somebody, and like they're really holding edge and stuff like that, and I don't feel comfortable talking to them, well then I would just go up to them, like, you know, try to hold my thoughts and stuff, go up to them, talk to them, ask them, you know, can I talk to you, stuff like that. And, you know, we'll have a conversation and try to get, like, the anger that we both have out, and so, like, we can be friends instead of enemies.
Sonja, can you share with us how the Leader in Me program is different from other reform models?
When I think of the word different than other reform models, I think that Leader in Me embodies the whole child in terms of your personal life skills, in terms of being that good person, as well as those academic skills, we couple Leader in Me with AVID. And as I think about the AVID strategies that are those core curriculum things that students are engaged in, I think of Leader in Me being a perfect blend to that, because it talks to who you are as a person. And throughout different lessons that students are engaged in, we talk about in our literature groups the different character traits. What habit is this person demonstrating, or what habit could this person have demonstrated in this lesson here? So it's taking that personal, who we are as people, the difference between right and wrong and good and bad in terms of how do we solve problems, how do we think long term, how do we set goals, how do we behave and work together as a society, as well as how do I manage everything in my day-to-day life too. So it's a set of values that helps the student at school, at home, and in our school community as well. One of the things that the 7 Habits has done for us as a building is help promote a common language so that our students, our staff, and as I said, not just our teaching staff, but every staff member that comes in contact with our students, that common language that we all understand, identify with, and know throughout Sheiko. And one of the things that we're doing is spreading that common language to our parent community as well too. Not only through our staff members, but the conversations that students are going home with. Because Leader in Me, it embodies the whole child. Again, taking what's happening at school, using that language on the bus, at home. It just helps us bring everything together. A few things that we like to do, because this is a 5-year process, we like to begin to include our bus drivers, because there's a common language or things that we see that the bus drivers can be a part of in terms of helping us help our students to be the best wherever they are. And they too are a part of our school community. Working with our families, bringing them in to help them understand what the 7 Habits truly are about and how we're living this. So it's that commonality that everyone can understand.
Good evening. My name is Janelli, and I am representing habit number 4, Think Win-Win. For me, Think Win-Win is pretty much that you don't just think what will make you happy, and you just don't do what you want, but you also have the opinion of others, and you pretty much make a plan of what other people like and what you like so that everybody's happy. And the 7 Habits has inspired me to write inspirational quotes in my planner. And I used to do it just for pretty much myself, but now I actually get to, my teacher lets me share them with the class. And I actually have some of them right here. And like I write them on the side of my planner. And like every day where I really need something to inspire me, I just look at them and like read over all of them. And that really just like lifts my spirit.
And this is Gabriella Falkowski.
Good afternoon. My name is Gabriella. The habit I represent is habit number 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. To me, it means to be kind to others if you want someone to be kind to you. The habits have inspired me to write my own goals. I have 4 academic and 1 that is for myself. I have achieved 1 goal, which is to get better scores in my gymnastics meets. And I am now working on other goals that are easier to measure. So.
Sonja, what kind of results are you seeing thus far from this program?
One of the biggest things that we're seeing at Sheiko right now is student confidence going up. For many of our students who may not feel that academically they are the strongest or athletically they are the best, there's some way that I can be a leader and contribute to the success of my class every time I walk through the school door. One of the things in terms of the process, because it is a 5-year process in developing that culture in our building, our goal is to see a decrease in maybe student referrals to the office or students needing to come to the office. Our goal is to see our students being able to handle conflict or have discussions amongst themselves. Our goal is to see our students' academic abilities increase in that confidence, as well with the data binders and having those rich discussions with our students, and students having a clear understanding of their purpose, their overall well-being at Sheiko, and moving that to the middle schools in terms of once they get there, they are much more solid students, and they're able to handle conflict and resolve, to synergize and work together on different things. Again, my biggest thing for Sheiko right now is that student confidence, and going back to that common language with our staff, our parents, and our school community. So it is a work in progress. It is a process, but we are just proud of the success that we have seen thus far with regards to our kids having a firm understanding of the 7 habits and beginning to believe and live those habits and speak that language throughout the school day.
This program sounds like it's proving to be a great success in terms of an investment of our time, energy, and resources for the students to be their best in and for the world.
As you can see, the Leader in Me program is positively impacting student achievement. It has become an integral part of the culture at Sheiko Elementary.
I would like to thank Sonja James and Leah Mattise for joining us today. In this episode, we have taken a closer look at the Leader in Me, connecting students to the real world.